The following presentation is a gift from the team at Streamline Publishing, publishers of Fine Art Connoisseur, Plein Air Magazine, and weekly newsletters Fine Art Today, Realism Today, Plein Air Today, and American Watercolor, and events, the Plein Air Convention and the Figurative Art Convention. We offer over 400 different art instruction tutorials and ultra high-quality video by the world's leading artists. If you like what you see, help us support our artists and our team with your purchase. Each video aired has a special discount code for today only in the comments section with a link to the video offered. And to see everything we do, or if you want to receive notice of new releases, new products, and new events for artists, simply click the other link, which says, "See everything we do." Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eric Rhodes, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine. Today we have an international treat for you, straight from the Florence Academy, one of the great art schools in the world, Daniela Astone, and she's going to teach you about creating elegant still life.
Hi everyone, this is Daniela Astone. Today we're gonna paint a still life together. I'm a teacher of the Florence Academy of Art and I have been painting for already 10 years. I'm Italian, so forgive me if my English is not perfect. Okay, here we are in front of a still life setup. What I'm going to explain to you is my way of doing it, and also what I think about painting a still life. First of all, it is really important to have a really strong connections with what you're gonna paint. Whatever is an object, whatever is a figure, doesn't matter the subject really. The most important thing it is how you get engaged from it. So let's say that that's how I feel, that's how I think, is that for me an object is not just an object, but to me an object can be basically a person with the defects and with a history, for example, like this one that is not perfect, right? And about the other still, kind of living things, like a fruit. Also these things are, they can be considered basically something else, no? Like there is not one similar to another. They obviously the same fruit, but they're different. And that is actually what you need to look for in order to make your still life work and be interesting, okay? So let's say that two similar things, like these two, for example, are maybe not good. That's it for your composition. So you need more different kind of object, different colors. The more they're kind of creating a tension between their difference, and the better it is. Okay, so. Usually the things that I do, I don't go to the supermarket to buy the fruit. I just take a walk in the countryside and I discover with my eyes like a little kid, really amazed about how beautiful is nature and the amazing things that it can produce. So I basically take also things that are not, I mean, they're beautiful to me, but they're kind of maybe they don't really worth that much. So it's important that you kind of create that kind of relation, no? The kind of engagement with the objects. So what is next? Next is actually the podium, where you basically gonna put your things on. Also, this one has a huge importance. Consider that an object cannot exist without the surrounding space, okay? So it is important that even for the podium, you're gonna choose materials that you are engaged with. So it can be kind of a pretty brand new material, or as I did, can be something kind of old, no? This one, it was actually a piece of a boat. So basically, I put two whole pieces of wood, and sometimes the things that I do is in relation of what I want to do. I also tilt a little bit up the bottom in order to see more the ground, okay, where actually the objects are leaning on. But in this time I want, so basically you will see that the grounding won't be, you won't see that much of it, okay? You're gonna see the object, you're gonna see the background, but you won't see that much of it. So going back to what I was saying, it's really important that you have enough space, okay? The bigger is the space and the better it is, because you can actually more easily move around, no? When I see sometimes my students come with a shadow box, it's really tiny, and the composition becomes kind of claustrophobic. You obviously, I mean, at least you wanna give that feeling, perfect. But if you kind of wanna give a different kind of feeling, then you have to have more space, okay? So I like to consider the setup as if I would be the director of a theater, directing a scene. So basically, these objects are the actors, and this is the scene, okay? So the first thing that I'm gonna pick is the protagonist of the scene. Huh? So it can be something like this, bigger than the others, for example. And I'm gonna place it, okay? Can be these, can be that, okay? So obviously it's the protagonist, but you don't want it to be too obviously the protagonist, no? So the things to be in a way avoided, and obviously I don't wanna really say that there are rules in the way of composing, but definitely one thing that you ought to know is that placing something like a big object too much in the center, it doesn't help your composition. It doesn't help the dynamic feeling of the composition, the kind of the naturalezza, no? La naturalezza of the composition. So the thing that you want is to place the protagonist slightly off from the center, okay? Then, after deciding more or less where the bigger object, the protagonist, is gonna be, then we're gonna make actually the scene around it, okay? So, for example, I'm gonna take this season fruit. I don't know the name in English, but in Italian it's called diosperi, or kaki, better. And I'm gonna place them basically around the protagonist. Sometimes when you have a fruit, I'm really curious to see what is the color inside that fruit. So I like to basically, cut it into, make some slices out of it, and see how they kind of work for the still life, just in order to see how that it could work for that. So it's important that in a way you have, for the fruits especially, that the shape, it won't repeat too much. So it's important that you have different sizes, you know? And then so basically slicing, cutting them up in little pieces actually helps the concept of creating variety, no? through the object, and make it so the composition more interesting. Sometimes the things that I do, I basically throw everything up here, I stand back, and I see how it looks like. And I start actually to select just a few things that I want to paint from the exact point of view that I'm going to use for painting them. Okay. Yeah, basically, wait. The things that I'm looking for is actually attention between this object and the others around it. So, for example, like the shadow that is casting on this fruit, it seems like that this fruit is a little kid that is get protected by the mother, and the mother is looking at the, or maybe I don't know, is looking at the little thing as she wants to protect this one from it, and that is definitely a story that I would like to tell, you know. So try to see, as I said before, a bit more than just object, set it up on a podium. It is important to, in a way, to frame the scene in order to avoid the distraction of all the areas around it. So, or you have, one of those views, selecting the view, the plastic made, I don't know, but I don't have it, so I use my hand, and I basically do these, so I can actually, change the dimension pretty easily, and I basically block the rest, and I just see through the frame what would be the painting, no? And it's important that you, as soon as you see it, you kind of imagine that it's already painted, okay? So you try to really to see if there are things that are not working. It's something that it needs to be also a bit of coming out from the common sense or instinctive. So go for what you see it and try to see that all together. So try to squint down your eyes, or to cross your eyes in order to make the scene out of focus so that you see the whole together, okay? Yep. I think that we're close to the setup that I'm going to paint, and I want to keep it, keep pretty simple. I don't wanna make it too complex composition. So let's start from this. This is the next stage. Actually, we're gonna start blocking the drawing with a color that is kind of a neutral color, like and I use raw umber. This is a brown that it comes from the earth, basically. So it dries really fast, and it will be dry basically for when I'm gonna then apply the colors, the paint on the canvas. So I usually start with that. Obviously, if the composition even is more complex, I start with charcoal, for example, something that you can do. I will talk a little bit briefly about materials. There are many kind of canvases that you can use. Definitely the one that I prefer is the oil prime canvas, because I'm gonna use oil colors, and so if the canvas is prepared with the same materials, then it will work out better than not using maybe like acrylic canvas that is usually you can find easier, and it is also cheaper, but it's plastic, it's not oil. So definitely I will suggest if you like canvas stretch on bars, then it's better oil prime canvas. If instead you like boards, you can also use the gesso preparation, which I suggest you to. It's a kind of smooth surface, so you can use that too. The canvas, it doesn't have to be too rough if you're planning to paint thinly with a little amount of oil paint. And it doesn't have to be too smooth if instead you're planning to apply on the canvas a big quantity of pigment, a thick quantity. That's important. Let's talk a little bit about colors. I believe that you ought to know the properties of the colors that you have on your palette. So it is important that you, at the beginning at least, you use a kind of a limited palette. Okay, so something like ivory, black, burnt sienna or raw umber, English red, vermilion, ochre yellow, and lead white. It will be enough to start with. Obviously, if you need some extra ones, of course you gotta find them. But one thing that for my opinion, is not necessary in your palette is a green. The green is something that you can mix up with by mixing cobalt blue and yellow, for example. So, or black and ochre yellow, for example. So it's important that you don't buy any green. That is the only color that you don't need to buy in a tube. The rest, I think, is good to start with just a limitation. So for today, because I'm going just to draw at the beginning, I will use just raw umber. That is a brown. The brand is Old Holland, and it's really good because to start with is really good because it dries really fast. And so basically after a few hours you will see it will be already completely dry, and you can paint it over without making dirt your colors. So I'm gonna pour this one on the palette because it's basically what I'm gonna use right now to draw. Then the thing that I have is a palette knife and some paper towels here, just in order to clean the brush if I need to, and cups. These cups I will put in, maybe I have too many, but in one of those I'm gonna put, just to start with, just turpentine, okay, just to start. So basically I have turps that evaporate really fast, and a color that dries really fast. If you're allergic to turps, then you can use something that is odorless or something that is not damaging you. So or you can start directly with oil. But the most important thing is like the more you progress, the more like you add fat mediums. So you start with terps, then tomorrow you're gonna have half terps and half oil, and the day after you're gonna have 3/4 of oil, 1/4 of terps, and then at the end probably just oil, and maybe at the real end you're gonna have something even thicker, like damar varnish added to it, or some thicker oil. Okay, so it's important. This is called the rule of the fat over lean. You ought to paint always with something, you know, the layer that it goes on top, and always needs to be a little bit fatter. So talking about brushes, as I like variety in nature, I like also variety with brushes, in the sense that I like to use big brushes, Filbert. They have the brush strokes usually is not tends to create shapes and brush strokes that are not way too sharp. I like to use synthetic squared brushes that actually instead are creating really sharp brush strokes and really precise. And I like also to use sable, really small ones, for the details. To start the drawing, I use pretty much two brushes that are pretty much the same, and I use one to actually draw and the other to erase if I make a mistake. So basically, so one is the charcoal and the other is the eraser. Okay, I'm gonna basically place now the line that divide the floor. This is the first thing that I'm gonna do. The floor from the background, from the vertical background. So I'm gonna first to draw that, and in landscape is the same. It looks like a horizon line, no? Like so I'm gonna put that down, and then I'm gonna actually start to draw the objects. Okay. I'm trying to get the proportions of the vase now. So the first thing that I got is the height, the top, the bottom, the point that is more more at the left, and the one that is more at the right, and try to actually to draw it. Try to get the personality of this vase. Takes a while, so the longer you're gonna stay on this stage, and the better it is, because in the scale of the more important things to do, is the first is always the drawing. Bad drawing, bad painting, you know. So you gotta achieve a good drawing. Then second will be values, and then the third things will be relation of the colors. So now we're on the most difficult part, which is drawing. If I want to make a precise mark, obviously I would take a bit of turbs, and I'll make my brush to go more fluidly on the canvas and be able to make a mark that is more precise. Now here I realized that I made a little mistake, so I'm going to move this handle up a bit. What I was doing is basically drawing the light shape and the shadow shape in a really distinctive way. So the thing that you want is that the light shape will be kind of unified and the shadow unified. Sometimes it happens though that too much, like in one area the value is darker and in another area the value is lighter. So you can also take a little piece of paper and try to remove the paint, or you can also make softer the edges, and so this is how you can do a little bit. I'm trying to keep working on the drawing, and I start to relate. At the beginning, I was just looking at the top, the bottom, and let's say the height and the width. But now I'm trying actually to relate the object, the vase, to the other objects, and so I start to see this rhythm that starts from the fruit. It goes up here. And I'll also see how the leaf there interacts with the base. So as you see, I'm making a lot of mistakes, so I have to, time to time, correct them. As you might notice, that there are some parts of the pot that I'm not including and not putting in, and those parts are probably going to a bit dissolve in the background, in the sense that sometimes the objects have, in some points, same value as the background, and so the thing that you want to do is try to create an effect of how the object is kind of melting into the background. Try to get more specific.
For generations, Florence, Italy has been the center of the world's art movement, the center of the Renaissance, and the home to great artists like Michelangelo, Botticelli, Fra Angelico, Donatello, and Leonardo da Vinci. Now, Streamline Art Video takes you to Florence, to one of the greatest art schools in the world, which is rooted in the principles of the ancient masters. the Florence Academy of Art. You'll meet and study with Daniela Astone, Master Instructor at the Academy, as she reveals the techniques for painting a still life. Experience this award-winning master painter at work and watch her as she shows you her techniques, which have been passed down through generations. We'll visit the artist at the Florence Academy, learn about her in an interview, and see examples of her finest paintings. And watch her as she shows you her step-by-step oil painting process of creating a pleasing composition, creating your color palette, the critical first steps of underpainting, techniques for creating form, making objects appear real through manipulation of paint, all the way through the process of finishing the painting. You can paint alongside, rewind and review again and again, and finish with confidence and ability to create your own magnificent still life. Creating an elegant still life, part of the Florence Academy series, now available from Streamline Premium Art Video.
That was Creating the Elegant Still Life with Daniela Astone from the Florence Academy in Florence, Italy. And you can learn more about that video at lilyartvideo.com. Remember, we have a special discount code in the comments section. Now let's get right to our interview with Daniela. We're here with Daniela Astone. How'd I do? Did I say?
Yes,
No?
Daniela Astone.
Astone, okay. We're here in Florence with Danielle. Danielle is an instructor at the Florence Academy, and we want to find out what makes her tick. Okay, now it's your turn.
What makes me tick?
Yeah. So how did this all come about? You've been an artist for how long?
Okay, that I've been a professional painter is about 10 years. An artist, I don't know if I can tell of myself that. Maybe the only thing that I can tell you is what I believe about art, which I think that like you born with that kind of urge of expressing yourself or you don't.
Yeah.
And so if I'm an artist, yeah, maybe that's what I feel like constantly. I have to try to challenge myself. And I have to challenge myself in a way to expressing myself. That's true, but I cannot define. I leave others to tell me that I am an artist, and I don't say that to myself. It would be too pretentious.
Okay, that's good. So when you were little, when you were a bambino.
Okay.
So when did
So you want to know the story from the beginning?
From the very beginning.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
gonna be
So when you
long.
were little, what are your first memories of interest?
Okay, that's interesting. Basically, I was a little crazy girl, not really nice. My hair was always cut really short because my mother didn't want to brush them. So you might understand why. Basically, and also my character wasn't really social at all. So I spent basically all my days drawing, and that's what I was able to really to do. In fact, when I started school, I wasn't really into that idea of schedule, timing, structure, not at all. Like my brain didn't want to standardize to those, requests. So I was really a bit of rebelle. I didn't really wanna to stay with the school in that way. But in fact, after a while, my mother, she was following me. So after a while, here in Italy, we have, after 8 years, you can decide the address where you what you want to do. And so, because basically the only thing that I was really good at, it was drawing, I say, please, Mama, send me to this artistic school. And she was like, no, not at all. You're gonna work because you're so bad at school. I was like, no, please, Mama, give me another chance. And she was like, okay, but remember, the first time that you bump, then you quit school. I was like, and then at that point, I was really going well, and I was the first of the class, and because at the end I found my way, you know.
What was the school?
The school was Maremma. It was in Grosseto, basically from the town where we're living. It was pretty quite a distance. It was 50 kilometers away, so I had to wake up really early in the morning to get a school. And I did that school for 5 years. You know, it's strange. There is something to say about those kind of schools in Italy. Basically, that is the common beliefs of generally, like people believes that when someone has an artistic mind, it's kind of have to behave in a weird way, or have to be a bit crazy or bohème, you know, those kind of things that you never want to think that your son or your daughter is gonna end up in that way, right? Yeah. So basically, most of the parents, they kind of resisting the idea to send their kids in that kind of school. But I have to say that this is just, you know, rumors, and it's just like an archetype of what people might think about it, but it's not actually true. Art is a really serious topic, and if you want to start to be professionist in that, you ought to study, and you ought to study a lot and hard, because it's not something that comes automatically. It's something that you ought to get really engaged to it, and you ought to challenge yourself, and you don't have just to challenge your ability to learn a formula. Is also you ought to challenge yourself to put yourself, your soul in what you're doing, and that is extremely difficult.
Now, there's always the big debate. I always hear from people who are not experienced in art that I don't have any talent, I could never learn it. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's true. I've seen in 10 years of teaching, even more, like at the school at the Florence Academy, I've seen people that they didn't start up with a happy hand, but they at the end of 4 years they ended up to do really nice paintings. And honestly, I don't think it's about that much of a talent, but it's more about the commitment that you actually put on that subject. And so it obviously has to have a bit with like, obviously you're born with the desire of doing something, no? Everyone has dreams, and so like you desire to do that, and maybe for you might be harder, but then if you really commit yourself in doing that, you can arrive to good levels. It's a bit, I can say it's a bit like playing the piano or you know, or running, or I mean, I know that there is people that even without legs are able to participate to the Olympics. So what's the point? It's not like, you know, have the facility or not having the facility, but it's just how hard you perceive your dream.
Mm-hmm. So you went to this school for 5 years? Would that be the equivalent of high school or college?
Yeah, it's a high school.
High school.
It was a high school. Then I moved to Florence, and I've been working for a couple of years on illustrations, because I didn't really want to go to the Florentine Academy of Art, because I knew that a lot of my friends of mine went there, and they were complaining a lot about the absence of teaching, the absence of structure that there was in the academy. So I thought, you know, I don't want to waste my time I just want to find a better school. And at the time I was also looking to a school that here in Florence is really famous, the Pietre Dure, for restoration. I was looking at all these options, but basically the things that I wanted really to do is like I just wanted to leave out of painting. You know, I just wanted to do that as a job. So for me, when I discovered the reality of the Florence Academy, I thought that it was my school. I did finally find the school that I wanted to be in, and it is quite strange because it actually is like schools like the Florence Academy, or also Ceausescu School or Angel Academy, are schools that are really out of the common, no? We live in a society that is really, that asks us to be really on time and to speed up and to be efficient in a short amount of time. And so basically we miss the experience of many things because of that. And I think that I spent, when I was a student at Florence, I spent 4 years, and I remember I spent 3 months on a cast, and I really learned a lot. And I learned also by the experience of sometimes get bored about it, and then refine again the energy to keep moving on. And so it's not something that is just related to the product, but it also changed really dramatically, and also in a strong way yourself.
It changed your work habits. It gave you a discipline.
Yeah, it's definitely. That's the thing. It gives you discipline. It gives you a way to treat what you're doing with complete seriosity. I mean, I don't know how to say, like con completa serietà. So that is a reality that is not common anymore.
So there are a lot of young people who might look at something like the Florence Academy and the discipline that it requires, and starting out with, probably you start out with flat drawing, or do you start right away with cast drawing?
No, you start with bargs,
Barg.
copyings of
Copying barg.
bargs, and then you do like casts, and then obviously it's a long program in the sense that you attend to many projects, but the point is always how much you can get out of it, and is not the quantity really, but it's the quality that is the method that has to be understood. So it requires a bit of time, and I know that people takes. I took 1 year in order to understand that I should have really considered what I was doing, in a really strong and serious and in a serious way. And I remember that for me as Italian, it was really hard to get into that discipline. But I really appreciated that, because when you feel that the atmosphere is really serious about what you're doing, then obviously the rest come with it. And
so what would you say to somebody, a person who wants to learn, who looks at those discipline and says, that's too much work, or this, I want better results more quickly, or I want the freedom to do what I want to do? What would your response be?
It depends the kind of art that person wants to make. I think that in one way, like who really like the tradition of figurative painting, it has also a bit to pass through the quiet and the calm of actually producing that. And in a way, you are really controcorrente, you're really against the modern society at that point, and you just want to slow down and get out of it the most you can. I don't know, I think like for me there is not a fast way to understand things. At least somebody will invent a microchip to put in your head, but to me that's I don't know, I don't think it's worth. I think sight size is already pretty fast way to improve your drawing, and so I don't know, I cannot really make a statement that now I defend that, because who knows, maybe in the world there is already somebody else that is doing something better. But that's the things that I can say is through my experience is that that in order to grow, you have also a bit to suffer, and that kind of sufferance that you also you feel when you trying hard to challenge yourself and to go better and better every day. It creates that strong feeling of commitment that will bring you at the end to become a perfectionist. And it's not something that you build up in one day, because something that fast, you can change your idea really fast too. But when you really commit yourself and you really intend to do something that will keep you in at least 3 years, it could be even 4 years. Remember that in the past, academies like in France or in Russia, they would have requested to the artist at least 5 years or even 6 years.
Right.
So that's what I think. I think
and the painters they were producing at that time were so incredibly strong.
Exactly. So that means there is nothing really that you can do quickly and well.
So you have become what I consider to be an incredible artist. Your work is fabulous, and yet you still decide to teach. What drives your decision to continue to teach and not just focus on your own painting?
Okay, because I have my idea about that is that we need other people to share our thoughts. We need, as an artist, to be just by myself would be a little bit too sad. And also, I don't know how to really formulate that well. Maybe I can formulate it better, but I spent years alone in the countryside. There was a moment where I was out of the school. As soon as I finished the school, I left, and I was, by myself in the countryside and painting what I wanted to paint. And but there is a moment where you feel that something is missing in your life, and is about the communication. In a way, like we need to feel connected with other people. And being in a school and teaching, it allows me to improve. And I teach not because I'm giving to the students, because that's probably one part. No,
Yeah.
I feel satisfaction to give what I know or to share my ideas, my thoughts. But the reality is that students are giving to me, much more than what I give to them, and is actually having also ready to give a critique and formulate verbalize what I see, and it just already makes me feel more conscious of what it should be one thing, or what I think also. Sometimes when we are by ourselves and we start to think about something, in our mind, that kind of line of thoughts makes perfectly sense. But as soon as you verbalize it, it doesn't make sense anymore. So that's the thing, that students sometimes help me to have a different also point of view. there is many students that are coming from different part of the world with different backgrounds, and that for me is a richness, you know. So I don't know how I would do without them, because for me it's a really a strong source of inspiration, and that's why I'm teaching.
So tell me a little bit about some of the accomplishments that you're the most proud of.
Okay, definitely I'm really proud to keep painting and teaching at the same time, and being a mother at the same time. That is the thing that I'm most proud of, because, you know, for women sometimes the life is kind of unfair, and so being able to do these three things together, it gives me a lot of strength. The other thing is that I'm proud of, but yes, is the fact that 2 years ago I made a decision. I made the decision to change a little bit, the aim of the career, because since a few years ago I was wishing just to, you know, paint and sell my paint and to live with it, and I was happy to achieve that. But now I start to have a different aspiration, and that one, it was the aspiration to maybe don't have the connection with the galleries that much, and so don't have somebody that asks you regularly paintings, so quantity, but I wanted to just focus on quality. And I just wanted to raise a little bit up the places where my paintings were displayed. And so I decided that I wanted just to display my paintings in to a bigger public. So I started to paint less, and thinking a little bit more what I was painting, and then I started to participate to some contests. So I applied for the first time at the British Portrait Gallery in London, and I applied also for the museum, the MAM, Barcelona European Museum of Art. And it was strange for me, but I got in both. And so basically at the beginning of this year, I had my painting displayed the National Portrait in London. Now in September, I had another painting displayed in the museum in Barcelona. And also I did these other things, this exchange in Russia with this museum. They organize trips for landscape painters to go in this specific town. So I got invited by the Russian government to go there and paint, so that the collection in the landscape museum will be bigger. And so I'm really happy that this year, basically, instead of showing my paintings in a gallery, I show the paintings in museums, so that a bigger public and audience will see them.
Now we have a video on you, and you get to show your technique.
Yes.
Yes, I understand that what you did for us is something that you would probably take many, many more days on, and maybe weeks on, if you really wanted to refine
Yes,
it. And it's
yes.
a constant process of refinement.
I think it's really important, this new media, and being able to see the painter that you like in action, and is really good. Obviously, you ought to understand that the stress and the pressure that you have in that moment is not the same that when you are in your studio and you paint by yourself. So obviously the result is a bit different, or you're trying to say as much as you can, but sometimes you risk to skip some points,
it's important to understand that there is anyway, that there is always a line between really deeply understand a person and just seeing them. Obviously, there is a difference. So,
yeah. What are you trying to say with your paintings?
Honestly, I think that the artist thing to say and to communicate is just yourself. It's really hard to be yourself. I mean, people always asking you to be in this way or in the other way, and you're constantly facing what the other people want. But that's the thing. It's really hard to be yourself, and so that's what I'm trying to do. Just being myself, despite what the other would think about. Yeah.
Fabulous interview. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Daniela is this lively person, so fun to interview. Thank you for watching it. That's Daniela Astone and Creating an Elegant Still Life. And you can learn more about it at lilyartvideo.com. Remember, there's a special discount code in the comments section. All right? Thank you for watching.
For generations, Florence, Italy has been the center of the world's art movement, the center of the Renaissance, and the home to great artists like Michelangelo, Botticelli, Fra Angelico, Donatello, and Leonardo da Vinci. Now, Streamline Art Video takes you to Florence, to one of the greatest art schools in the world, which is rooted in the principles of the ancient masters, the Florence Academy of Art. You'll meet and study with Daniela Astone, master instructor at the Academy, as she reveals the techniques for painting a still life. Experience this award-winning master painter at work and watch her as she shows you her techniques, which have been passed down through generations. We'll visit the artist at the Florence Academy, learn about her in an interview, and see examples of her finest paintings. And watch her as she shows you her step-by-step oil painting process of creating a pleasing composition, creating your color palette, the critical first steps of underpainting, techniques for creating form, making objects appear real through manipulation of paint, all the way through the process of finishing the painting. You can paint alongside, rewind and review again and again, and finish with confidence and ability to create your own magnificent still life. Creating an Elegant Still Life, part of the Florence Academy series, now available from Streamline Premium Art Video.